yours. The Ghanaian Times starts us off this morning, and it talks about the fact that court refers Funny Face to psychiatric hospital to check on mental status. Satawale others in police custody. Also, 15 QNet officials remanded in police custody again. 300-acre rice farm destroyed following collapse of Afram River embankment. Sorry about that. Bulk power supply point in Ghana. President inaugurates largest point at Pokwasi. 350,000 households, businesses to benefit from reliable power. The Daily Graphic, it says 350,000 to enjoy improved power. Biggest bulk supply point commissioned by President Akufo-Addo. Involve youth in decisions that affect them. Vice President and Volta Region is best coordinating council for 2020. Also, U.S.-Ghana deepening trade to create employment. The Daily Guide. Ghana's envoy to Italy dies. Eudora Quartek ranting. May she rest in peace and deepest condolences to her family. Shatawale and boys in police grip. Funny Face caged for mental checkup. Nana opens largest bulk electricity supply point, and towing levy debate returns. The Finder newspaper, Business Finder, it is today because today is Thursday. The Africa Continental Free Trade Area must not leave out the youth. UNDP and historic cocoa farmers pension scheme takes off. Over 500,000 farmers registered in 2 regions. Also on the BNFT, this is their latest format. They say, well, without cheap power, industry can't be competitive to employ. Osafo Mafo is the senior presidential advisor. Also, issue infrastructure bond to close financial gap. Abenamoa cocoa farmers pension funds will be prudently managed. MPRA and inefficiencies, power theft still hampering energy debt recovery. The Daily Statesman is our final one for this morning. It says stakeholders resume talks on mandatory towing levy. Big boost for power sector. President commissions largest bulk electricity supply point in Ghana. Law students demonstrate over entrance exams, and Board of Trustees for Cocoa Pension Scheme inaugurated. Also this morning, a few birthdays that have come through. Quickly share them with you, and we'll get on to the big issue as we have found them between yesterday and this morning. Happy birthday to Mrs. Dinah Owusu Ejapon of Accra. It's your birthday today. This is from Togbi Komla Sakwiti the 5th. Happy birthday to you, Dinah. Also to Ernest Nana Kwejo Buafo, CEO of Nake Concepts. This is from Komla Adum, and also your longtime sweethearts. That's what she says there. Happy birthday also to Sub Lieutenant Ruben Amexin of the Ghana Navy ship Kemla in 2nd D. This is from Komla Adom of TV3 Newsroom. And if it's your birthday as well, happy birthday to you. A special one to Esla Ampia Texan from Gina Sumda and family. Happy birthday to you. And also a happy birthday to Abigail Bexon of MTN in Winneba. This is from Manye Adoko Papo. Happy birthday to you, Abigail Bexon. Live long and stay strong. My guest this morning, Mr. George Aisi. He is the National PRO of the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO. He joins me here on the ticket of the NPP. And also, Mrs. Joyce Bar Mokhtari is a special aide to former President Mahama. She's also a former Deputy Minister for Transport, and she's here on the ticket of the NDC. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning.
I haven't seen you in a long while, Joyce.
Yeah.
I see.
Good to see you all.
Good to see you.
I have some good news along the line. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
King George, how are you?
I'm good.
You're fine too.
I'm good.
Okay, you have your ID card now.
Yes, please.
You have your ID card now.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
And all the other NAPCO guys have the ID cards.
NADMO, not NAPCO.
NAPCO, sorry. NAPCO. So you have your ID card now.
Greetings from my boss, Nana
Okay.
Juman Prempe.
Okay. Do you have an official vehicle now?
Yes, I do.
You have that.
Yeah.
You are trying to.
You see, he's doing.
I've been the one who has been championing that. So
There's a certain promotional thing going on. Are you going to give me a ride in there?
I have.
Yes, a very interesting vehicle parked out front.
so congratulations to you. I see. Congrats to you. Anyway, and salute to the NAPCO boss. That's why we are here. We talk about it. NADMO boss, sorry. We talk about it and
Why
we get
do you
it
calling
done.
him NAPCO boss?
Because NAPCO is ringing in my mind.
You have some agenda in
They are
NAPCO
not
to
managing the
do.
disasters well.
Exactly.
Yeah, no.
Let me begin with you. I know that former President President Mahama is on a tour, a thank you tour. What's the latest?
Well, you do know that he's been on these tours for quite some time. Because of the pandemic, at the time when the elections ended, he was unable actually to embark on a thank you tour. So he just ended his tour of the Volta and OT regions,
Okay.
and we returned early hours of the morning yesterday.
Okay.
I believe that the tours are going very, very well. President Mahama actually has been thanking largely the citizens of Ghana for overwhelmingly supporting his campaign in 2020.
Okay.
He's also working very hard at restructuring the party, the grassroots and entire membership across the country. I'm sure you followed him when he went to the other regions, which is to the Savannah, Upper East, Upper West, and the other side of the country, really. He's been in Ashanti region. Basically, he's been almost everywhere, and I think that we've just come to a stop with the Volta and OT regions, and we'll be doing the Greater Accra over the next few weeks. All in all, I think that everything has gone on well. It's been largely very successful. And you know that the NDC, wherever it goes, actually carries a huge crowd. In 2020, it was an election that we were actually convinced that we were actually going to win. There were some challenges that occurred, and I'm sure you followed the news and know that we petitioned the Supreme Court at the time. We were not successful, and I believe that we tried our very best to have the results overturned, or at least to have them investigated. But till now, nothing like that has been done. We have accepted that we'll have to work harder towards 2024. Our party itself has actually appreciated the issues. We are poised for victory in 2020. What I believe President Mahama has been telling everybody is, one, that we must all become keepers, shareholders, stakeholders, polling agents. Each and every member of the party must actually consider themselves a stakeholder in our success. And I think that the message has actually resonated well with everybody. And we're looking forward to the branch elections and eventually to come up right to the top when we go finally to our conference.
The former president has been responding to things that he says were thrown at him in the heat of the elections. Why has it become necessary now to be talking about issues of corruption that were slapped on him, family and friends allegations and all of that? Why is he talking about them now? He could have spoken about them then.
Oh, I'm sure you know that he did. He spoke largely about a lot of, in fact, most of the 2020 campaign was actually because a lot of people generally had realized, for example, you remember matters to do with Ameri, matters to do with car power, and some of those very serious allegations that were made in the run-up to the 2016 campaign. Indeed, he has been using these platforms to first address some of these misconceptions, I would say, and secondly, also to set the record straight. It is not often that you would find yourself going on a thank you tour of the country, and each time you go, the thrust and the theme for these visits will always be different. So I believe there was a very good reason why he would have, because indeed, we all know that President Mahama's government was actually totally underrated in 2020.
Was it?
Absolutely. You do know how our opponents went along with the campaign. They struggled very hard, and they themselves admitted, I'm not putting words in their mouths. I heard their General Secretary state emphatically how they struggled to retain the power in 2020. I do know how much more the NDC worked at the time, led by the flag bearer and, of course, our running mate, Professor Nana Ajima. Indeed, what President Mahama was saying was largely to say that he doesn't have any foreign accounts. He spoke largely about the accounts that he has in Ghana. You know how these political platforms go. People will throw all sorts of things at you. But I believe that all along, I don't remember a time when President Mahama has had an opportunity to engage Ghanaians and has not spoken largely to his record, etc. Of course, we're in the market of politics. We're in the market of strategy. We're in the market of actually making our party look attractive to the good people of Ghana.
Okay.
I think that it is basically important also to try and respond to some of these. Of course, in the same vein, as soon as we left the central region, for example, I knew that immediately President Akufo-Addo would be going there, of course, because he knew very well that he would have to go and try actually.
Is that to suggest that President Mahama is aiming at 2024?
Well, I would hope that President Mahama would once more put himself up to contest for the flag bearership. For now, the decision is very, very far from being made. But I know strongly that everyone, including myself, would hopefully look forward to him contesting again.
I hear you.
That is a decision that he will be making. There might also be a Congress and eventually we would select, who knows, maybe there are other people who will be vying for the same role. But I believe strongly that it's important each and every step of the way. Because remember that even in communication, once you start to set the record straight, and people can now see clearly the difference between the two largely political parties that have been dominating the scene all this while. You do know that President Mahama has been on this game for quite some time. I think it's important that he actually speaks to issues that actually concern the good people of Ghana. And corruption perception index has gone very, very high. So it's important that each one of us should start to level up on integrity, have conversations around political players, particularly in our levels of integrity.
I hear you. Integrity has no defense, someone told me yesterday. George, the president has also been touring.
Yeah.
He's in the Greater Accra region this morning.
Yeah.
He left Central region. I'm sure you've seen the backlash that came along with the airport or the harbour and all of that.
Yeah.
But in Accra, he's been commissioning the bulk supply at Pokwasi. Yeah. What are the key points for you from the tour?
Yeah, thank you. Good morning. Sorry. And good morning to Honorable Joyce Bao. It's been a while. It's good to see you again. Good morning to our viewers. His Excellency, the President, Nana-Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, let me say good morning to him, and good morning to the darling boy of the moment, the IGP Ekufu Dampari, for the excellent work he's began. He's begun, because I heard somebody say we should hasten slowly, and I would want to agree with the person. So we encourage him to do what he's doing best to protect all of us. The President's tour, what I'm excited about is that he's commissioning a lot of 1D1Fs. And as of today, the count is about 108. And counting, and that's the excitement. And then the bulk issue. When I read it, I understand it's MCA that is actually funding it. The Pokwasi one, about $47 million. You remember PDS. I mentioned MCA because of the PDS issues and the withdrawal. But we're told they were still going to continue with certain commitments. So I'm excited to know that we are increasing the capacity of our transmission lines from 161 kV to 330 kV. I understand the Kasua enclave, sorry, is also going to cost about $50 million, and it's going to be completed in no time. That's my excitement. Improving, and you read something in one of your headlines, by the Honorable Osafu Mafu, about industrialization and cheaper electricity. And so I must commend the Honorable Matthew Puku Prempe, Doctor, for the work he's doing in that sector. You know, when it started, there were some doomsaws and people, you know, but, and he said, you get it. We are putting them off to restore them in a better capacity. And that is exactly what we are doing. So I'm happy with the work that is ongoing. And the excitement also is that one by one, the MPP government is putting its achievements in the public domain. The people are beginning to see what we are doing, the things we promise, and the results are then beginning to show. And it's going to translate into job opportunities for a lot of the young people. We just have the youth connect gradually. I know it's something passionate to you about opportunities for the young people, and the youth connect that is ongoing to is going to open up opportunities. Finance Minister has spoken about the need for us the young people to veer into entrepreneurship. It's not going to be on a silver platter. But then are we creating the opportunities? Yes, Obatampa, Ghana Cares, and all that. We're putting measures in place to ensure that we can empower the young one to go into entrepreneurship. America is America because of the private sector's, you know, buoyancy. And so we can drive in that direction. So yes, and the last one that I want to touch on is this toll thing. That
the mandatory toll.
Yes. I think we should look at it this time very well. You know, initially there were controversies surrounding it, but you see, when you're driving, in the university, we were campaigning for Nook's presidency for my brother, Edward Bauer, Honorable Edward Bauer. When we went to University of Cape Coast, on our way back, a car, articulated truck had, you know, spoiled on the road. We nearly drove under it. Okay, all the team, SRC president and my team. Okay, we nearly went under the thing, including Bauer himself. You see, so these things, when they are talking about it, experience I've had, I feel we need to look at it, towing them from the roads is very important.
Right.
Whatever we can collectively do to support Meobri Yeboah to succeed in this aspect, let's do it. And
Okay.
I know you are a crusader, so I will entreat you to support.
They will insult me first before they come and support me. Anyway, Togbe Fiti has been speaking. He's the paramount chief of the Aflao traditional area. Take a listen to him. He's not too happy that we put together e-blocks and we are allowing them to waste away. Listen to the revered chief.
After senior high education, primary to the senior high education, the next degree that my people have to do is to go to border and go and do what? Cairo. No school. The only school that we have again is the RC Senior High School that belongs to the Catholic Mission. It's now what? A minor seminary. So this thick population have no place to go. And people sit down in that big hall called Parliament without thinking of Aflao, a place after the Tema Harbour, the next revenue generation is from Aflao border. It's from Aflao border. And I have to push the former President Mahama for that structure to be what? Constructed over there. I have to be running from here to Accra. Begging. Should we beg for education? No. There's something happening. If we have to beg for education before our what? People can go to school, then I don't know what is called a democracy at all. And look at the structure standing over there. 90% finished. 90%. Yes. Now the teams are having their full days again, going there, removing everything at will. Now, in the era of the MPP now, we have the free senior high education. And my people are not benefiting because the school is not here. I'm sure by next year, February, school, new entrance will go to school. So your coming here is the redemption to the suffering people of Aflao. It's a redemption, really, to the suffering people of Aflao.
And that was the paramount chief of the Aflao traditional area, Togbe Fiti. He spoke with the minority side in Parliament on the Education Committee. George, this is so much investment for a government that touts itself as the forward march agenda holders for, if you like, the harbingers for education. You talk about free SHS and all of that. Why are you leaving such an important monument or edifice to go rot? Had to take chiefs now to be telling you to look sharp.
Johnny, two things. One, it's good the chief, revered chief, is speaking so passionately. Education is very important to all of us, hence our decision to make education up to the senior high school free. And so if it's free, it means there's going to be expansion in access. And then the numbers are going to go up. So infrastructure is very important. Fortunately, the previous government under His Excellency John Dramani Mahama started the 200 Community Day School. Everybody in Cape Coast who listened to me saw my excitement with that decision by the then president. Unfortunately, out of the 200, he could only complete about 47 of them. And others were at various stages, including Infanspem School had one, which was then about 97% complete. But we had since completed and then using it. And so when I saw the Aflao one, so fantastic, in fact, the e-blocks are very phenomenal infrastructure, and I thought it is good. So what we need to do is to complete it. And the Honorable Minister for Education, the Honorable Dr. Osei Oduchum, before Parliament said, so far, we've completed about 21 of those ones. So if you add 21 to the 47 that were completed, we are looking at about 68 out of the 1, 2, 3 that were at various stages, including ground zero.
Right.
Okay, including ground zero. So it's good, but I agree with the chief that once this infrastructure is being put there, the people of Aflao need education. Aflao is a bubbling town, a border town. The population, he said it, revenue generation. If you take Tema, I asked to whether statistically is correct, I cannot vouch for that, but it's a bubbling town. And
it's a border town, by the way.
Yes, border town. People move back and forth. Now that the border is also shut, that's the problem. But then the education aspect, this government is embarking on very good policies in education, STEMs, you know, science, technology, engineering, mathematics education, the girl child focus and all that. We are trying to get about 20 of such model schools across the country to get people to take science and engineering seriously.
In which classrooms?
You know, we are building, those are dedicated institutions.
Because you promised 350 secondary schools right from scratch.
No.
In the first 18 months of the Akufo-Addo-led government, is there. Should I play the tape?
That's 2012. That is 2012 campaign.
But George, you know, be that as it may.
I'll allow you to come in. Let George ventilate this point.
2012 campaign.
Okay.
And our free SHS started from 2000.
Has the president abandoned that vision?
No, you see, we've, you know, the Get Fund mortgage policy of $1.5 billion that is expanding infrastructure in all the schools, okay? And so I'm happy 21 of the E-blocks have been completed. I would have been happier if all had been continued and completed. Anytime I saw on social media a very fantastic edifice like this abandoned in the bush, okay, I get worried. I'm a professional teacher, okay? So that is
but there's one thing
issue. And so
completing the project and another thing putting it to use for the benefit of the people.
Yes, once you complete it, you definitely put it to use.
Had it been used?
Teachers.
No,
it's not been completed. He said 90%. In fact, look at it, fantastic. I saw it. And I know, you know, in Advancement, there's one in St. Augustine, there's one in many places that I know of. And so when I saw them, about 18, you know, classroom blocks, 3-story, fantastic. I think Minister of Education should look at it again in these next 3 years ahead of us. What are we going to do to complete all these? Look at them. All these, you know, infrastructure. You get it? Classroom infrastructure. So we can post people there. You know, the lamentation that I think is only a basic school that is virtually, yes, okay, a Roman Catholic school, which is, you know, anyway, SSS is also now basic. So the chief is worried. Let's look at it. It doesn't have to take the lamentations of the chief for us to go and complete these. Let's look at them. Those that are about 70% complete and above, ASAP. Let's actionize them and then get them.
Is the MPP, my final question to you, is the MPP still holding on to the initial thoughts that you had that, well, these schools had been situated in bushes, far away from the communities? Is the MPP still holding on to that thought?
Oh, no. We've made a decision. The Minister for Education has said that he's going to attach boarding schools to them. He said that. Okay, I think it started even under the Honorable Matthew Popo Prempe, that because of the distance, look, go to the Kumfi one. From the communities to where the school is, it's quite a distance. And the level of you know, poverty in the community, okay, and then the ability to take trotro to the place and back. So the numbers, my good friend was a headmaster there, the Honorable Mr. Kwame Alovi, a very good friend of mine. He was a headmaster there. So the challenges and some of us are aware of them, but he did his best to ensure that, you know, the place goes on. And so if we can attach boarding facilities to that, there's a conversation that we should take out the financing of the board. That's another matter. But if we can attach boarding, the idea of President Mahama to situate them there is good. Okay, if you went to a school in the rural area, sometimes from communities to the school is far, and there's another village far away. They also access the same school. So if you put it in between, you are trying to solve, you know, kill two birds with one stone. That was the thinking. But it's like there's a bit of a challenge. So if we can add the boarding facilities, it's good. I will plead with the Minister of Education to pay heed to the call by Togbe Fiti. Let's not take it as political. He's a chief. Okay, he's seeking the interest of his people.
Okay.
And so what he said, let's listen to
I
it.
hear you.
And if we can move ASAP to complete, not only that, every project, E-block, 70% above complete. Let's try and finish that.
I hear you. Joyce,
So that the next admission, students can go in.
absolutely.
September,
Joyce,
not February, September.
just step in for me at this point. So it had to take the chief now to speak. And he's not the only chief who hasn't speaking. There's another one who spoke to the committee. Why are we like this?
Well, a very good morning to everybody. Apparently, my mic was quite low when I started. So good morning to all who are watching me. It is true that I haven't been here for quite some time. And I'm happy to say that congratulations to TV3.
Thank you very much.
For, your 20th anniversary.
24th.
24th, fantastic. Oh, then you're almost 25. Oh, wow. So there's a huge celebration coming. Okay,
Yes,
24th.
it is. Silver Jubilee.
Fantastic. So you're
Next year,
definitely...
we are hosting you. So
Absolutely ought to, yes. Fantastic, fantastic. And I love the studio. I think
Thank
you've
you.
done a great job.
Thank you.
Well, you see, maybe too little, too late. And, propaganda definitely doesn't have any, wheels that helps it move around, except that human beings themselves will come to admit that all of the propaganda that we heard, the attacks, the lies in particular, and sometimes it is fantastic when I hear government communicators admit, these are E-blocks in particular. Remember that the NDC, under then President Mahama, had actually done a comprehensive job on exactly where Ghana's education system was, what it needed, especially in terms of preparations towards the full implementation of the free senior high school system.
Okay.
Look, there is no way that all these conversations that George is leading would actually take us anywhere. If you think about these E-blocks, the project was a fantastic initiative. The project was meant to serve Ghanaian children. The project was meant to serve communities where hitherto they had facilities that were antiquated, in bad shape, or communities that had grown over the years. Look at our population and housing census, for example. Our population is now 30.7 million. Have you seen the completed E-blocks, for example, the one in Adenta, the ones in Medina? They are full and bursting at the seams. If you talk about all of these E-blocks that have been abandoned for the last 6 years almost, can you imagine left at the vagaries of the weather? And I have seen very disturbing videos of the state in which these projects are. Why do we do this to ourselves? I can bet you that those projects were not necessarily there because President Mahama was going to keep them for himself and use them personally. I even remember conversations about them being turned into hospitals and they will be used for whatever, and they were not meant to be schools. Look, for as long as political elites, we continue to condemn one another, I would think that we would always arrive at a point where, even if for nothing, we should be able to even apologize to the good people of Ghana. Are we reacting this way because a very eminent or prominent chief has spoken to the president himself on a visit to his palace?
He gave an ultimatum, actually.
Exactly. And most of them are doing that. Because look, remember, like he said, they went round and lobbied when they heard that these projects were going to be developed, because they believed that their constituencies, their traditional areas, needed these schools. Go to the one in Mepe, for example. The chiefs and queen mothers are happy. Every policy that the NDC implemented was a well-thought-through policy. It was one that was meant to serve the good people of Ghana. Look, we look at the indexes that we have. Look at the GET Fund. The GET Fund was actually established for what purpose? To help fund projects such as this. I haven't cross-checked, but what I know is that that GET Fund has almost collapsed.
No, not so.
You can check. Secondly, if we are talking about lack of funding, funding for what? I haven't observed that there's a lack of funding for new projects. And indeed, you asked him about the 350 schools they promised.
Right.
There's no conversation around that. You mentioned the 111 hospitals that were promised at the inception of COVID. We haven't seen anything. They came up with another idea for 88 district hospitals. Indeed, the people of La are even demanding that their hospital be constructed. And there too, there have been serious stress being issued that government must construct that project because government actually destroyed a standing one in place of going
The
to
government
construct.
said it was a wobbly structure, so it had to be
But
brought
that's the
down.
point, which is better. If you have a wobbly medical facility that you can go in and access help, and now you have nothing. No, there are others. Like you said, some are within the city. If you can't go to, for example, you can go to Teshi, you can go to Kolebu. There are other options whilst you work to improve it. You see, it is because you are fortunate enough to have access to other facilities. So probably you don't look at, for example, in Tamale, we used to have a vaccine center. It wasn't in good shape until President Mahama decided to upgrade it. But at least people could go there if they were bitten by snakes to get the serum vaccine done. Do you understand? You don't need any extraordinary facility. You can even have a mobile van to do some of these things. So why don't you even find alternatives? For example, whilst you wait to construct it. Look, I have no doubt that for as long as we stay as a developing country, we will need infrastructure to boost our industries.
George says, let's look at completing those 70% and above, so that we can activate them
as I said,
for use.
Too little, too late. When did George start to think this way? President Akufo-Addo was in the central region. He was asked directly, what have you offered the central region? If you go on a tour as a sitting president, you should be touting your achievements in the region. You should be telling people, I've done A, I've done B, I've done C, I've done D in my last 4 years. But unfortunately, what did he do? He spent that whole trip trying to bastardize a record that was obviously available for everybody to see. The E-blocks in the central region, most of them are in use. The ones that have been left uncompleted, we've seen them in the videos. The citizens themselves are demanding that government take seriously the completion of those projects. Because those projects were not necessarily for me or for George or for you. They were for all of us. In every community that you find yourself, at least there should be a decent accommodation for children to go to school. These are very critical ages. Have you gone to see some of those projects, visited them, to see the ones that are fully being utilized? The contributions they are making to the communities. Look, each one that was even slightly further from the towns received buses so that the kids could commute to and from school.
Oh, really?
Yes, absolutely. Go and check. Most of those schools.
So why were we talking about distance then?
You see, most of us, the schools that we started going to when we were kids, were they in the cities? No. It's the city that has grown to meet these schools. You know, there are critical research conversations that normally we do not want to use to back some of the things we say. If we are interested, why not? Look at the sorts of conversation around the Commander sugar factory in particular. Most of the investment in that project was largely because we knew that we could actually review our hitherto low cultivation of sugarcane and improve it. The project was supposed to be in 3 phases. Phase 1 was to do a pilot. Phase 2 was a construction. Phase 3 was to fully invest.
Relatability.
That is the point, but it's also because of politics. The people in the community want jobs. But the phase 2 resources were there. Why didn't you complete it? But why not? Has President Akufo-Addo not commissioned the hospital to be constructed and there's still land lying there, a mound of sand and nothing has been done? But in this case, the project had taken off. You understand? We all visited the project. They had taken off. They had even run a test system and the investors were present. Now that you have abandoned it and left it, to the detriment of who? The good people of Ghana. If President Akufo-Addo had even taken the phase 2 to another level,
it was
I'm sure.
Government partnership.
Okay, let's not get into a Kofi.
Is that not how we're supposed to invest in these things?
Let's focus on the schools.
Yes. But no. It only benefits him because he wants to say that they have come, they've come to the table a little too late and he's trying to make apologies because
better late than never. Better late than never. Better late than never.
There can also be too little, too late. So it's not always about better late than ever.
Didn't you complete?
You understand?
4 years, you couldn't complete them.
There were 200 of them. Remember that?
It worries me. One was about 3 million.
Ask yourself.
Couldn't complete.
The 350 you promised. Have you even started? No, have you even started? You haven't started.
You started 200,
you
so we couldn't have promised 350
Well,
again.
but that's what you did, and it's in your manifesto. Nobody can be denying that now, Just as you said you promised a harbour in the central region, and now you are all over the place. It is the first gentleman or the second gentleman. It's all the same. Well, a harbour on the landing site, I believe.
You promised it.
Oh, yes, it's in your manifesto. You understand. Look, as for the MPP and its propaganda, I think it is time for them to stop it. Let's look at what forward thinking looks like.
Right.
What is good for the people of Ghana.
What do you suggest?
It is, well, let's be honest for the start. And I believe that is the message President Mahama has been preaching.
Right.
A little bit of sincerity, a little bit of candor. We don't want to come here every day and, haggle over who's done what and who hasn't done what. At the end of the day, those projects will serve the good people of Ghana. Take, for example,
Johnny, before you go,
if they had agreed that they were going to complete these projects when they arrived, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation. Look,
Johnny.
a lot of them were at different stages of completion.
Right. Yes.
Dr. Park has put out a statement. Some 90%, like he's saying in Naflao.
Yeah.
Why should it be left to rot.
I saw one at
the
Adaklu.
cost that you were investing to restart the project.
I saw one at Adaklu.
You know,
George,
I saw it myself.
George, you had a very long...
Sagleme. You take 200 million,
you had a very
to
long
build
time...
5,000 units, and you build 1,204 and the money is gone. And you say you just come, go pick money, and then you continue.
I am sure
so
that
I am 23 World Banks funded
George,
ones in the schools
I'm sure
were completed.
When you were speaking, we were not supposed to be interrupting. Let me say something.
George,
at the end of the day, if we are talking about funding and we want to interrogate the matters, go back to the drawing cards. Look at the wastage in the system, for example. I believe I was happy when he mentioned PDS. I'm happy when he mentioned all the other things that he's talking about. Look at the system. Look at the levels of corruption.
Wow.
We are still waiting for the COVID funds for you to account for
CDD,
it. And I've heard CDD, that is, let's not even go there. Take, for example, what the finance minister is saying, that they fear that government may have to return to the IMF. Look at our debt to GDP. Look, if we were spending on the soft things that matter, matters that affect human capital, I am sure these schools will be completed.
I hear you.
And I'm sure that if the NDC had won the 2016 election on its record, as we touted at the time, we probably won't be having this conversation.
I hear you.
Those projects will be completed.
Let's make progress.
Let's make progress. We shouldn't. And then, of course, on Saglemi, for example.
We are also.
Okay, so now we are introducing new things.
No, but that is okay. The matter of Saglemi, the matter.
We're introducing new things.
You haven't even started. At least some have been started.
One at a time, please. One at a time, please.
George has...
So George is coming on the strength of a principle that at least some was cut and some was started. But she's saying that on your side, you cut the sword and nothing happens.
Some were completed.
We still.
And in the 4 years that you were there,
they're still in power.
You had 4 years. This thing was commissioned.
Have you seen one of the front? Have you seen one of the front headlines? Your own leader in Parliament says that most of you don't even understand Obatampa. You don't understand what is the sloganeering that is going on around. What does that tell you? You see, government spokespersons must start to be honest.
Okay, thank you. George, please allow George.
The matter of Saglemi, you see, let's be very cautious. It is a matter that is before a competent court of jurisdiction.
Right. So sub judice, I won't go there.
So let's be careful we don't come and say things that will actually not inure to the benefit of the persons in this matter.
I hear you.
I believe that.
I hear you. We need to move on. We need to move on. We need to move on.
That is relative.
We need to move on quickly. So we need to move on. Nobody's getting a second bite. Thank you very much. Let's move on. If I give you a second bite, I'll have to give her a second bite, and I'm not ready to do that. Let's talk about youth unemployment and the numbers that are ballooning. National service participants are done with their national service now. NAPCO is ending by the close of the month. And take a listen to Mr. John Boydu quickly, what he said. He said we'll get to a point where we will have to import labor to come and work here because of the policies that the New Patriotic Party has put in place. I have also read for you the National Security Strategy, which was launched recently by the President. Page 17 of it that admits that there's a youth bulge, which is a national security concern, and the fact that if we don't take care, the related vices of society, vigilantism, armed robbery, and all other crimes would be, I think, of center stage because young people cannot find jobs to do. I want to see how George will connect for me, one district, one factory, one village, one dam, and all of those policies and how it's generating job and how those NAPCO guys were promised permanency will have some ray of light at the end of the tunnel. But first, Mr. John Boydu is General Secretary of the NPP.
New Patriotic Party programs are ye diegu hono ebedu baby no ye be kran gofo afiama no ne no ma be ye adwuma organa ye nim say mo na mo bua ye na ye adwuma no. There is no way MPP aban ye betena ho na ye yi ni ato nchen efi say ye nim say ye be san ba na say adwuma asam na ye ka New Patriotic Party programs are ye diegu hono ebedu baby no ye be kran gofo afiama no ne no ma be ye adwuma organa ye nim say mo na mo bua ye na ye adwuma no. There is no way MPP aban ye betena ho na ye yi yeni ato nchen efi say yenim say.
That's Mr. John Boydu. He is the General Secretary of the NPP. George, where are the jobs? The young people are asking.
He is on point. He is on point.
He's on point.
In him say a bit do baby. If you put the systems and the structures in place, what we are doing, one district, one factory, counting to about 108 and going on. Even if they're employing 5, 6 on the average, check the numbers. Jobs that hitherto were not there have been created now, okay? We are moving on. Planting for food and jobs, opportunities that are being created. Albeit there are challenges, I'm not going to gloss over that. But it's also a way of expanding the frontiers of the farmlands that are being cultivated by families and individuals, okay? So that is also something that is happening. In the agriculture, the cocoa industry, Joseph Boahen Edu, Honorable, is done the replanting. You know, you cut those that are infested and old and co. I've had the privilege of living in the Secretary Enclave for about 3 years, so I understand the industry in that area. And then replanting and supporting to, you know, bolster, you know, this is it last year, so we've clocked the 1 million plus again, okay? And so it is
metric
the efforts,
tons.
yes, it is the efforts that are being put in. That's why my General Secretary is saying a time will come with the policies that we are rolling
You are in
out.
your 5th year.
Yes, with the policy, we just got a renewed mandate from the Ghanaian people, okay? And so it means we are to be consistent and focused on the direction we are going. As far as you see the work we are doing in the railway industry, we want to, you know, bring it back to life. And you know that, you know, people that commute in that industry, okay, the opportunities that are going to be created as a result of that, okay? And so that is it. One, the NAPCO thing, you said it. I know that...
Before we get to NAPCO, is
yes.
government able to, for example, say that we have helped 100 factories to be revamped, or we have given a capital injection?
Yes.
And
Yes.
by this capital injection, they have been able to employ 6, 7, 10
Yes.
people.
Yes.
Can government put those figures
But
together
this-
for
the
us?
Honorable Alan Chamberlain has done that. He's gone to Parliament recently.
Okay,
you
and
know,
give us the figures, the
as
corresponding figures.
As of the time he were, I think it was 106 and 150,000 employees directly and others indirectly.
So why are the people
This-
still begging for jobs?
No, the number, you yourself just said it. The number, how many people are graduating from our tertiary institutions per annum? Okay? The national service people, how many have just completed? Okay? And these numbers must all be mopped up. And when we came the backlog in the nursing sector and then the graduate unemployed and which, you know, and you're right, it's national security report that said we're sitting on a keg of gunpowder, which could explode anytime. And President Kufuor brought the idea of YEA, okay? And the same information got us the NAPCO and others. And NAPCO, there's the possibility of I'm getting that hint.
The president
that-
says 72,000 of the 79,000 who are left now
Yes.
will be retained, will be given permanency.
Good. That's where
now
I
the
was
finance
driving.
minister says the government payroll,
No, but you see, if you listen to the whole tape, in fact, initially when I listened, I was a bit worried. But when I listened to the whole tape, I thought it was encouraging, okay, to charge especially professionals that are trained from UPSA. You know, it's a
So
professional.
let me be
institution.
honest with you.
Yes.
The man who
But
pays.
it doesn't
Let me
mean,
be honest with you. The
Yes.
government payroll is choked.
650,000 on it. It doesn't mean, you know, there'll be retiring and opportunities, avenues will be created, okay? But it tells you that it's encouraging you, if you have the acumen, the skills to be able to initiate your own business. You know, he's urging you to, you know, go there. And you have a policy, John Kuma's outfit, any IP, you remember, you know, puts 4 or 5 people together. If you have a solid project proposal, there's funding for you, you go, and we support you. It goes on, okay? And so that is the way we are helping individuals to become entrepreneurs.
Today is the
okay?
21st. NAPCO ends on the 31st of October.
Yeah, no, once the arrangement...
promised them
is-
permanency.
Are you going to let George go on and on?
I'll bring you in, George. Sorry. I'll bring you in. I just want answers from him.
It's like, you know, I know, according to Dr. Nyas, about...
He hasn't spoken for a long time.
Yes, according to him, before elections, about 11,000 people had transited from NAPCO to permanent jobs.
But why
okay?
is he not speaking now?
Oh, why? He's still the head there, so he will speak. When you can grant him interview, he will speak to you. Okay, but I think the issue of youth unemployment is an arduous task that we ought to have a handle on. The steps we are taking, the measures we are putting in place, we are hopeful that we're going to get there. As my General Secretary said, if we continue with this industrialization agenda, vehicle assembly points and all that, okay, it will, be creating opportunities for the young people to get jobs, so that, the threats of criminal, a lot of these criminal issues are related to joblessness. We know some people, it's business for them, but a lot of people are out of frustration. They have to survive, eke out a living, whatever means, and that is our campaign.
Does the government get the sense that the young people of this country are not happy with you?
Oh, we just went, you see, I wouldn't say they are not happy. They know we are making the effort. There are a lot of young people who voted for us in the last election, renewed the mandate of the president with over 500,000 votes, okay? You think the young people are not part of it? Okay, they are. They have hope in the future under an Anado government, okay? That is why they renewed our mandate.
I hear you.
And we are saying we're going to break the 8, because in the next 3 years, policies and programs that we're going to roll out, okay, is going to create opportunities for a lot of young people. And they will know that under this government, under the MPP, there's hope for the future.
Joyce, you're smiling.
Well,
why are you smiling?
Well, I think you're literally allowing
You've been
him
mesmerized
to
by
come here,
George's delivery.
Basically spend the whole morning on government saying propaganda. Look, let's get these things straight.
We don't have propaganda.
As for what the General Secretary is saying, Mr. John Boydo, I think it's just a flax. It is just a conversation, and I think all I hear is a lot of screaming, because you can tell they are under enormous pressure. I believe they also listened to the finance minister, and there's no doubt what he was trying to say. You and I both watched what happened at the recent job fair, and I don't think we should sit here and gloss over issues as he's doing. I recall that in the run-up to the 2020 election, for example, President Mahama and the NDC at the time promised that 10 billion agenda to boost jobs, the big push agenda.
Right.
What was it supposed to do? And remember that the NDC has a beautiful record. Today, what are we hearing? The same teachers who followed their propaganda and screamed their voices hoarse, are they being paid those allowances? No. If these schools had been completed, I'm sure there'll be more kids in school, and there'll be more teachers also to be employed. If the hospitals, they promised 350, and this was actually in 2016. Everybody knows that, and I've seen even the record of it, because I've seen the headline, even on Joy, for example, talking about when these things were actually started. So let's get this thing right, because if in 2016, one of your campaign promises was to deliver 350 schools, today, where are they? Please, it is here. Let's stop it.
Go ahead, please.
The second thing is to do with all of these slogans that we hear. Look, in terms of the cocoa industry, remember the intervention about the cocoa roads? What was it supposed to do?
There was an audit.
Access. What happened to the audit? We never even saw the reports, because they know. The second thing is that, take, for example, the roads. What are they supposed to do? Improve access. The CHIPS compounds were to afford environments for people to be able to access health facilities at their doorstep. So this propaganda must stop. In terms of the planting for food and jobs, have you gone to the market lately? Where have you seen that food prices have gone down? The recent conference actually even posits that if we are not careful in the next 20 years, Africa will struggle even to feed.
That's why the Agric Ministry says we have banned the exportation of food, so that we can have availability and affordability.
But that's what I'm saying. Go beneath that statement. You see, as for the beautiful language, the noise and the screaming, you hear it every day. The NDC has an enviable record in terms of its investment in agriculture. Today, they have inherited those mechanized agric projects that we started across the country. What is the reason? It is the same intervention. The same people require that. Today, look, banks are not even lending to businesses. So if you're talking about job creation, entrepreneurship, how are they going to get the money first? A young startup, how are they going to invest in the business? If we are looking at creating jobs, imagine that they had even started the 350 schools they promised. The same Ghanaians will be working there, would they not? If they had started all these things that they promised, the intervention. For example, I remember the Vice President, for example, saying that he was going to give vehicles to taxi drivers. If they had given them all of these things, please, You've been in power for 5 years. Let's stop this conversation about ongoing and all of that. That propaganda, you see, you've been exposed by chiefs, by students,
Johnny,
by
I'm
nurses,
sorry, I'm
everybody.
making
No.
But it
You
was
went,
in
you
our
went,
last
you went,
election.
you
That
went.
was a promise.
You
So this
went,
is
you
our
went
first
on
year.
forever.
I hear you.
Can we?
Allow yours to.
Let's get our facts
put issues in
beautifully.
context.
No. I think you are speaking totally out of context. You are all over the place. I'm not even sure where you are trying to focus on, because somehow you are fishing. You know, if you promise people a harbour or a landing site, for example, they will see it. It is physical. Who will be arguing with you about that? If you want to give young people hope, first and foremost, interest rates must go down. Look, one of the things the young people touted in 2016 was to do with their enviable record. But in this country, we all know that the record of managing the economy, where we even had a single-digit inflation, was under the NDC government, under Professor Mills of blessed memory. Look at the times then and now. They talked about NAPCO, they talked about, look at even the NADMO where he is. I'm not the one saying it. I've heard all his complaints over the years. We've heard about the disasters. What have they done? Ask him if NADCO is not struggling even for funding to survive. Look, let's come here in the mornings and be honest. Ghanaians have, look, the NPP has been exposed. In terms of all that John Boydu said, it is just hot air. What we have heard is the truth from people who live in these constituencies and in these communities. In terms of the $1 million...
Are you saying that the government has done nothing to better the lives of the people?
Today, is that what you are asking? Why didn't you ask them that in 2016? Whether we had done nothing to improve the lot of Ghanaians? Are these not... Look, sometimes when I hear them, it's almost like us speaking in 2016. What was the infrastructure supposed to do? Go to the UGMC hospital today and see. Are we not Ghanaians all using it as a facility? When you walk through those walls, are you not proud that there's a Ghanaian leader who left behind such a legacy?
Which legacy?
Of that beautiful facility where everybody can go to and get treatment. It would very... Oh, please stop it. You see, don't come here and do this. Ghanaians are very discerning. Please ask him to go to a UGMC as soon as we leave here and take a video. You know, let's
George,
stop it.
I thought the health minister went to rest today.
George, you know, look, we are now doing... We have compared your record to ours. And it's undoubted that we are a superior record.
So just, let's get it. So John Mahama promised. John Mahama promised in the big push. John Mahama promised the big push to have 250,000 jobs per year for the 4 years if he had won power.
We invest fully in infrastructure.
Now the MPP is also promising. The MPP is also promising 1 million jobs in 3 years under the Obatampa Cares project.
Let me tell you something. You see, don't talk as if this is a government that has just arrived.
You abandoned
the government made its promises before Ghanaians agreed to vote for them. I am not the one speaking because I'm speaking for President Mahama or the NDC. I believe that Ghanaians themselves are speaking to these issues that they have not seen. They promised a year of roads. What did we hear our roads minister say?
It's going on.
They promised a year of going to build 111 schools. Where are they today?
No,
they promised hospitals. They promised 350 schools. Where are they today? You see, look.
Which of the hospital projects are started?
No, don't let him start all over again. You see, look.
Some are even Atlanta.
Really?
George, you keep.
Just please hold on for me.
No, I will not hold on.
I'm interested in this. Just sorry. Point of interest.
Are you both government spokesmen?
No, just point of interest.
No, you've had too many points of interest.
I'm sorry. I hold your left leg. I'm sorry.
I totally
George says that one of the Agenda 111 hospitals is at the lintel level. George, which of the hospitals is at the lintel level?
Give us one name.
Which one of them is at the lintel level?
We are not behaving like
No, George. Answer my question, George. George, answer my question. George, answer my question. You are saying that one of the Agenda 111 hospitals is at the lintel level.
We'll take you there. You go and see.
Which of the hospitals? You should be able to
you
say.
You have your cameraman around. Who push you to go and look at them?
So you don't
go in across the nation.
All the hospitals.
Majority of them are ongoing.
So can we go tomorrow? Tomorrow is Friday. Can we go? Can we go? Okay, all right. Joyce, please wrap up for me. Sorry about that. Sorry for interrupting. I needed that information.
And work like the e-blocks.
Thank you.
Joyce, them before
sorry, Joyce, please wrap up for me. I'm sorry.
I can tell when a government communicator knows that his opponent has a superior record. He's screaming our ears down. He's literally not even making any, he's not focusing on the issues. I want to put it on record. In our 2020
manifesto, when my opponents begin to.
Oh, but you've been very disruptive this morning. You are usually a very nice person. No, I have not. No, I said.
I've given you.
No, you are all over the place. No, I said you are not. No, I say you are not. I say you are not focused. No, I say you are not focused.
Begin to go on that tangent.
I told you.
We can spew situations.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that.
Because I've always given you that.
Sorry about that.
I said, George.
No.
George,
tangent of
please,
insult.
please calm down. No.
Sorry.
What is an insult? I say you are
Thank
not
you.
focusing. And this morning you've just been disrupting me the whole time.
No.
That's what you are doing. You are still doing it. Please,
I've not.
let's take this seriously.
I've not.
I said in 2020, we started by talking about the big push agenda. We spoke about the special tax incentives, for example, for rural people who invested in rural communities. It is the same investor special taxes that led to the development of the rice mills in the northern regions of Ghana. These were all interventions that were made first and foremost to give agricultural inputs an opportunity to add value.
Okay.
Secondly, was also to encourage people to invest in agric. The third thing was to mechanize the systems of agriculture so that people have one-stop shops for all agricultural inputs. This was to apply to all Ghanaians who are in communities where farming is a mainstay. Let's put this conversation in proper perspective. Today, we hear government spokespersons like Mr. George here, and I apologize if I offended you because I don't think I did. I think you were genuinely disrupting me, and I think I made a point. And if you want to start arguing with me, first show what you have achieved, if we're talking about infrastructure. Secondly, if we're talking about schools, tell me what you have actually constructed. But I am not saying it. People say, please go back and complete the projects that were left behind. Those projects are to serve the good people of Ghana. The third thing is that when you take our 2020 manifesto in particular, if we had won this election, if we had won the election, if we had been declared winners,
How will you win?
don't worry, because you see, that's the point I'm making. Don't start these things. I
hear
don't
you.
want to get into that low line kind of debate with you. Let's be very certain about what we say. And today, all the things I'm saying, has anybody contradicted me on all the points I have raised?
Yes.
You understand?
I hear you. Please, let me read some messages.
32%.
Good morning, Johnny. Ask the NPP man whether he's aware. George, this one is for you. So your microphones are off. Sorry about that. Johnny, good morning. Please ask the NPP man whether he's aware that people are suffering, especially we, the youth in Ghana. The politicians in Ghana only care for their families and friends. Dambot Peter from Jambale, Northeast region. Good morning, Johnny. In fact, you are fighting jihad for Ghanaian youth. May the Almighty Allah bless you. Payroll is full. Hardy from WA. Johnny, on the issues of abandoned e-projects, it's very pathetic and disheartening. Come to Apeswa in the Yellow Kobo municipality of the Eastern region. One of the e-blocks has been completed and left to rot in the bush. When you ask why it's not being used, some of the government spokespersons will tell you it was built in a bush and far away from the main town, which is in Krakan. That's why it's been left to rot. Prince Henry in Kofridia. Hello, Mr. Hughes. I'll be glad if you follow up on this for me. Somewhere last year, Ghana Ambulance Service opened its portal for recruitment. Desperate young graduates seeking employment like myself bought forms to serve Mother Ghana. The recruitment process never commenced till date. The institution have started selling forms again to recruit new applicants. Please, can you find out what happened to our early applications, because I still have the receipt from last year and still waiting to be called. And Johnny, these forms are expensive for young people who are not working. If they are ready to give us jobs, they should stop extorting us because we are not working. We sometimes borrow to buy these forms. Nana Wuku in Esrejam Ashomam. Good morning, Johnny and TV3. The MPP man on the show today is talking like a citizen, but not a partisan. Good morning, Johnny. Aplao is not the only victim of abandoned e-blocks from Cosmos. Good morning, Johnny. Please, I'd like to know when they are going to pay teacher trainees that are currently doing their national service 2 months allowance, and also when the portal will be open for us to apply for recruitment. Should we seek for jobs elsewhere and forget about the government employing new teachers? Ebenezer Bugri in Zebela. Hi, Johnny. Good morning to you and your panelists. We NAPCO trainees have just 10 days for our contract to come to an end. And please, can you ask Mr. George Isi to brief us on any hope regarding our contract? Thank you. Good morning, Johnny. The NDC government did extremely well with the community secondary school, but most of them were wrongly cited due to political expediencies. The one which was rightly cited in my district, Ahanta West, has been booming. There should be a dialogue on those that have been abandoned. Nat Beidu in Sanko, Ahanta West. Wow. For the first time, an MPP communicator commenting positively about these abandoned educational facilities. This is the way to go. Successive governments should always continue projects started by previous governments, and I believe Ghana could be a better place. Good morning, Johnny. Edem, Ahiadome Kope. Johnny, we have fully completed e-blocks at Dentra, Chitre Chichirewura, and still nobody's using it. Johnny, it's not about completion, but the hatred they have for JM. Maybe the last one. George, somebody says I should ask you if you're a believer of the gospel.
Yes,
because
I will want to know.
I do. I believe
anyway,
gospel.
Ambassador Sampiale sends this one. That's George says, I watched George on another television station, and he said that the test run of the Commander Sugar Factory produced sulfur. As a person from the central region, I feel very scandalized to hear a man who has lived all his life in the central region and talks like that. Your government has spent 5 years in power. Why have your government not converted the sulfur into sugar? Does he know loan from India will be paid? How wicked can the government be? So wicked and insensitive to the youth of the central region. Johnny, ask George to tell us which office one could find the records of the 106,000 people who he said have been employed by the factories. Say enya bribi ama wasiwa wombono krono. Okay, thank you very much. We got to go. Thank you very much, Madam Joyce Bal-Muktari. Grateful for your time. Daniel says my time is up.